Samsung has a new smartphone. Well, not that much has changed, at least not at the first glance. But even if you look at the spec sheet, there isn't much new. However, Samsung claims that the new Galaxy AI in particular is the new groundbreaking feature, and I have to say I was looking at the smartphone for the last 3 weeks and I've been using it from my iOS and iPhone lovers perspective. And I gotta say, not only the AI features are really great, the smartphone is at the top notch. Let's take a closer look at the Galaxy S24 Ultra. It doesn't get any precise than this. The S24 Ultra looks identical to the S23 Ultra and weighs exactly the same, except that it has a matte titanium frame. That's nice and it feels high quality. This does not surprise me at all. I mean, considering the high price. You have to pay $1,500 for this smartphone, so you really need it to be like really high quality. It's a matter of taste, but I think the cameras on the back are sleek and beautiful. And everyone knows by now that this is what a Samsung looks like, this is an iPhone, and this is a Google Pixel. Of course they stand out quite a bit from the body, and I would have liked the rings around the cameras to be matte as well. Instead, they have this glossy standard looking finish. It's probably the biggest smartphone I've bought myself with my own money. I prefer smaller or compact smartphones, like for instance, when I use the iPhone, I prefer the iPhone 15 Pro rather than the 15 Pro Max. And if you wanted to buy the S24, which is a smaller smartphone, you're not getting the full specs from this smartphone. So that's a bummer. In general, the S24 Ultra looks and feels even bigger because it's edgy. It gets worse if you put a case around it. On the other hand, I have to mention the high price again, because if you're willing to pay $1,500, it should be well protected. The new cases from Casetify are a real benefit because unlike in the past, you can clearly see that they don't make the phone bigger than it needs to be. Also, Casetify is committed to sustainability as most parts of their cases are recycled. In general, I mean, my wife and I are using Casetify cases for the last 2 to 3 years, I think. And this is how the iPhone 13 after 2.5 years looks like. It hardly turned yellow. So these clear cases are also very useful. The nice thing about the cases is not just the look, they also provide real protection. Every fall is absorbed, so Casetify won't let you down. If you are interested in such cases, there are also many great designs. So it's anything but boring. So you can check out the video description if you want to learn more about Casetify's smartphone cases. But let's get back to the S24 Ultra. As you've already seen, this matte gray looks almost the same as on the iPhone. However, the Samsung S24 Ultra now has the new Gorilla Glass armor on front and back. This is 4 times more durable and scratch resistant than before. By the way, this is pretty much the best smartphone display money can buy. You get a big 6.8-inch AMOLED with Quad HD Plus resolution, 1 to 120 Hz refresh rate, and with up to 2600 nits brightness. This is also due to the special finish, as it is significantly more resistant to fingerprints and reflections. As a result, colors appear extremely saturated and contrast is higher. Just wow! I mean, it's the single best smartphone display you can buy right now. There are beautiful displays out there. I mean, every smartphone manufacturer buys the same Samsung displays, but this is the one. This is the only single one I'd rather use than anything else. And also, you can use the stylus if you want to. The S Pen is still there. I've never been a fan of it. I mean, I'm not even using it on the iPad, so maybe it will change soon, because the S Pen I can really easily access on the Galaxy AI functions like this one. This is called Circle to Search. I just have to press the center button and can circle everything in the picture, and Google Search is activated. But it works like really well. It works with images or in social media apps. It works pretty much every time. The only thing where it does not work is when you want to find out who that person in this picture is. So I don't think that's a Galaxy AI feature which is not functioning, but I think it's rather to data protection. However, we come to a part which I really don't like. Samsung's UI, I mean, the software is not really which I prefer. But before we do that, let's take a closer look to the battery. Fast charging is one thing that other smartphones can do much better than the S24 Ultra. But I did a really hard test, let's call it that. The S24 Ultra was completely empty and I charged it with the fastest charger I had. After just 10 minutes of charging, I was at 17%. After 15 minutes, it was already at 25%. Let's put the already in quotation marks because fast charging is better on our smartphones. After 30 minutes, it was only at 60%. That went up to 80%, which took me about 45 minutes. The remaining 20% was then even more tiring. The phone needed a total of 1 hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, like I said, fast charging is better with other brands. But on the other hand, the battery life is really good. I mean, I get like over 8 hours of screen on time every single day. And that is with 120 Hz and Quad HD like full resolution turn on. If you wanted to put it down like to 60% and only use full HD resolution, you can get easily up to 10 hours or even more. Okay, now let's go back to the software. It now looks much more advanced and very much like on the iPhone. You can't really tell, who's copying from whom. The software looks pretty much like iOS used to, and if you're using an iPhone regularly, I think you will like this one too. I personally like it a little better than in previous years. Oh, speaking of years, Samsung promises 7 years of security and software updates, which is really great. I can't give enough credit for that. There are extremely large number of functions, and even I, who test smartphone every day, and I simply don't use many functions. The Galaxy AI functions, they can be really useful, but at this moment I don't think that they are really that great. But if you're willing to spend $1,500 on a smartphone, at least you want to have the option to do whatever you want, right? This smartphone can do pretty much everything, like gaming for example. I have to say that this is an absolute premium class. The smartphone can really handle any game and the processor makes everything look easy. Seriously, this is the best smartphone experience if you only look at the processor. The camera is also excellent. Compared to the iPhone 15 Pro, the pictures are often a tick sharper and the colors are a bit more vibrant. The colors are a little more balanced than before. I hardly see any differences to Apple or Google. High dynamic range and not too artificial, especially when you look at the photos on the smartphone screen. This is an absolute 10 out of 10. But let's get to the bottom line. The S24 Ultra is an absolute all-in-one premium smartphone. You get like a whole package of pretty much everything which is high class or even at the top 3 right now. It has a great battery life. The display is the single best display you can buy right now. And if you want, you can use the S Pen as well. It's a very large phone, so if you want to have that, that's nice. And on the other hand, it has a titanium frame now, the flat display, and even longer smartphone updates than ever before. So if you're willing to spend $1,500 on a smartphone, this is the best you can get.